Welcome to Drink Wine Be Crafty. I'm Megan. Today I'm going to show you how to make this macrame feather chandelier. You also can add a light to it if you would like, which gives it a really cool effect. In this video I'm going to show you how I made the chandelier by covering a plant hanger that I purchased from the Dollar Tree. This takes a lot of cord. I'm going to leave all the measurements for the cord and what I used in the description box below. This took about 30 yards to wrap, and I used the same rope. I used a different rope in this portion than I did for the feathers. And again, I'll leave all that information in the description box below. So you'll need a hot glue gun and just put a little dab of glue to hold the cord in place. And this was being done in real time. I had not done this yet. So it would have been much easier if I would have taken the rope and kind of balled it up into like a little ball of yarn, so it was bunched together. Instead, I kept pulling it through. I did get a little wiser as I went, but for right now, I just want you to get the idea of this weaving. So I'm going to take the cord and just loop it around, and then go across the next bar, and just continue looping it around each one. So once you continue wrapping the cord around, this is the effect that you get on the outside, which is actually really cool. I like both the outside and the inside. The whole purpose of this was that I wanted to be able to lay the feathers on it, and I wanted the inside to look nice whenever it was hanging. So I feel like that if you even did the other way, it would still be really cool. So both sides, pretty cool effect. Now I did have to glue the rope together because my rope was not all one piece, but I honestly don't think that it's gives it a bad effect. And you see, I rolled it up in a little ball. It would probably be really hard to do it with that much rope in one go. So yeah, when you roll it up in a ball like this, it's so much easier to wrap. Obviously, that would have been the smart thing to do from the start, but hey, sometimes it takes a little bit of a trial and error. But now, I just wanted to show you the effect of this. I'm going to continue all the way to the end of just twisting this around, and then we will start on working on the feathers. Now that we've finished covering the basket, just to make sure it's secure, what I've done is trimmed off all but a little bit of the rope here. And because we're going to cover the outside with the feathers, I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to, let me make sure you guys can see, I'm going to pull it through this row right here, and then I'm just going to put some hot glue on that, because from the inside you can't see it, and that's the only thing that matters is the inside of this. So yeah, just put a little dot of hot glue and trim off the excess. You don't need that much. We're just going to do a little bit here. And then now I'm going to show you guys how to make the feathers. This is a very time-consuming project. Feathers take a pretty good bit of time to make, so hopefully you like making feathers, because I really enjoyed it. This to me is very fun and a bit therapeutic. But I made 33 feathers, and as you can see, they don't have to be perfect. They don't have to be the exact same size. So don't stress about that. Just get kind of the shape you want, the look that you feel happy about. And I promise once you get to about 20 of these, you're just not even going to worry about having it perfect. But there's 11 rows, so you need The centerpiece is 11.5 inches long, and then I have 22 5.5-inch pieces for the center, and you'll need a comb to comb it, or you can use, I've seen people use pet brushes, and you definitely need a good pair of scissors for this. Now the rope that I've used is a 3mm cord, but I wanted it to be more thin, so this is a single twist cord, and again I'll share this in the description where I purchased it, the link for you if you want to purchase the same cord. But I split it in half and then just twist it to make it smaller. I have used this one spool of cord for several projects, and I still had plenty, so you definitely could, with I think it was 220 yards, so if you do it this way, one will be enough. But again, if you want to just make them thicker, you don't have to do this part. This part is also another time consuming part of it, but I wanted them a certain size and a certain look. So alright, now let's make a feather. Take your centerpiece and fold it in half. I'm just going to tape it down, and then you're going to get 2 of the smaller pieces to start your first row of your feathers. So fold your first smaller piece in half and put it underneath the centerpiece. And then fold your second piece in half, and you're going to put the ends through the loop, and then do it over the top of the center, and then do the ends through the other side and pull it together to make your knot. And you will just do that a lot of times. For each feather, you do this 11 times. Okay, now that we are on our last row, you have the option to tie a little knot at the bottom, and I'll show you. I did on some of them, and then I decided not to tie the knot to keep these in place. Let me show you real quick. So here you can see there's a tiny little knot, and when you tie the knot, it kind of spreads the ends apart, which I didn't really like, so I just decided not to tie it, which they'll still stay together just fine that way. If you do want to tie a knot and you like the look, just do an overhand knot. Make sure these are all nice and tight and in the place that you want them to be. So tie your overhand knot. And be sure whenever you pull it tight to pull it upward instead of pulling it out to the side, because this will keep it from being too much of a gap. If you just pull it to the side, the gap will be really, really wide. So this way the knot it lays in the right direction when you comb it. Now we're just going to comb this out until it's nice and fluffy. When trimming the feathers, just take off a little bit at a time, because you can always take off more. So I just turn it upside down and start on the right side and start shaping it. There's really no method to my madness. I just start trimming until I get the look that I want. So, and if you're just doing a small amount at a time, you really can't mess it up. Now that you have finished your feather, you will just need to make 32 more of these. And you can see they are all a little bit different. I think that actually gives it a nice effect whenever you lay it all together. So yeah, like I said, 1 down, 32 more to go. Now that all of these feathers are done, let's piece it all together. I just used a roll of paper towels to prop this up. You're going to need to use your hot glue gun, but before I'm going to hot glue it, I actually want to just pin them in place to get an idea of where I want them to be. So just get your first feather and just pin it down. Now, as you can see, I wanted it a nice little bit hanging below. And then you just overlap them and go around and get them in place. I can't really tip this over, but if you hold it up, you can look kind of if you look on the inside, you can get a better feel for how even your feathers are. Yeah, so that's just a little tip, but it's hard for me to show you guys. But now that we know that our feathers are in place, just go back and hot glue the top portion of the feather. You don't have to put a lot, put a very small amount of hot glue and it will hold in place really well. I'm going to do the same thing for row 2, but you're going to put the second row in between the feathers that are on the bottom row. So you're going to go around, and if you feel comfortable just gluing them down, it's totally up to you. I spent so much time on these feathers, I wanted to make sure that I got it right the first time. But just go around, either pin or glue the second layer, and then we'll move on to the last layer. Before I glue these down, I just want to make sure that I have a nice space at the top for the last layer. And I do feel good with the placement of my second layer, so I'm going to go ahead and get those glued down, and then I will show you guys layer 3. Now we do the same thing with layer 3, but once I made it to this point, I realized that the ends of my feathers were just a little bit, the loop is a little bit too long, so I ended up making this loop a lot smaller by just pulling it up and then trimming off the excess at the bottom that I didn't want. For the placement for this final layer, do the same thing you did below. Whenever you glue it on, make sure that it goes in between the two feathers that are below it. And so we're going to do that all the way around for layer 3. The final step, we're going to add the chain to hang it, and then you definitely could add a light, a hanging light inside of it, which I think makes all the difference for the effect of this. It turns out really nicely whenever you put a light in it. But I hope that you guys enjoyed this. If you have any questions, or if you want to see any other types of chandeliers, give me a thumbs up. Let me know. I love all the feedback. Thanks guys so much for watching, and remember to subscribe, and I will see you next time.